Yes, please.
Great.
Okay, so I'm here with Nico, and we're going to go through a few things with author. So yeah, the first thing, which is really basic, is the escape key to go in and out of full screen.
Mm-hmm.
I find that little detail to be so important because escape obviously usually goes out of full screen.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason it goes in and out here is, you know, we're on the web, we're doing this research, we're doing that, flying all over the place. But when you need full screen, to mouse around can be really slow. So to hit that little button and all that can just mean you don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have that. And yeah, maybe we should just walk through the list of things.
Oh, that would be amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, amazing.
Okay. So let's look at the thing that I think is maybe most unique about Author, other than the super simple interface, because I really think that we should have commands within hand's reach and information within eye's reach. So let's just define the word glossary. Select it, Command D, or Control click, and then define concept here.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth showing that because all the command keys are listed next to the command, so you can learn them over time.
Amazing. Yeah.
And we try to make them the same as the first letter, except for citation, because command C is obviously copy. But as much as we can, we do that. So anyway, define concept, glossary is a special definition. Let's make it that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Don't need to add any references. This little button here, search using liquid, that is for when you're defining something and you actually don't really know what it is. So if I click this, I get the liquid toolbar. So now if I do R for references, you see the R here, and then W for Wikipedia, it looks that up in Wikipedia.
That is incredible. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the whole point of that is this process, you know, everybody says, especially as a teacher, if it's important to you, write it down. If you want to understand it, write it down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you integrate it into, because you have to make it, to use the term correctly, literal.
Mm-hmm.
So we save that. And now if I do Command M or click down here, right/map, now it's towards the map, now glossary has been added.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I just put that anywhere I want. So if I, here as well, if I do Command D, I can edit it. So we have definition. I'm just going to define definition, why not? So I double click on the map, type in definition, and notice how it is initially italic. That's because it doesn't have a definition.
Mm-hmm.
All these other ones do. So I'll just do Command D. So now there is a thin line going from definition to glossary to indicate that glossary is interested in definition. In other words, the word definition is in the definition of glossary, right? So if you now point to the line, you get what it is.
Wow.
I know that is clear, but I'm going to do one more, which is important to me. So I'll just do Hamilton. You're a fan of the musical, I trust. Have you seen Hamilton?
I haven't, no, but I've read that in The Future of Text that you're a fan of the musical. So I'll look up what it is.
Oh, you have to. That's amazing. Right. So I just, for fun, defined Hamilton. I just said the most amazing musical. And then I put my name here. And I defined myself as blah, blah, blah. It could be lots of text, but one sentence is, I have to say a fan of the musical because friends point out that the actual person was quite different. So therefore I should be careful. So here we have, this is the really clear way to show it. The musical Hamilton is not aware of me as a human being. I mean, it's just a concept. And I haven't met, well, I have met a few people who on the stage, but not enough. So if you now, my name is associated, and as you saw, we write and I point, and that's what generates that connection.
Great. Yeah.
So if I now select everything, it gets really messy.
Well, it shows the web of connections as they are.
Yeah, and it is kind of cute when you look at it as a graphic, but it's really hard to read the meaning out of it, right? And this is not supposed to be, to use the phrase God's own truth. This is supposed to be your perspective on what something is. So let's say now, for some reason, I feel the need to define that Hamilton, it was an author, right? So now it connects to author. So as you move around and you look at what these things are, you start developing where things should be. You start chunking it in your brain, so it becomes kind of a memory palace as well.
Wow. And so do you use that to structure an argument, to take the key terms or the key notions and interlink them?
I'm going to delete if you actually not yet. Not really, because I have been developing this while I've been doing my important writing. So that makes it obviously a little complicated. But if I now open my thesis, which is quite huge, and click on the map, because now all the words come in here, it's become really, really messy, but it still has some value, like, oh, Nick should probably be over here. That's a Doug Engelbart term. And here's concept, which is useful for me to define, but it's not useful on the map. So in the update we'll have this week, I'll press the letter H to hide, and that will then go away. And then if I press H without selecting something, then everything that is hidden will come back. So we have Hamilton here too. So if I select all, it actually takes a second or two for it to process it, believe it or not, even on an M1 laptop. But it becomes functionally useless. Apart from a view of an overview. So every once in a while you may do it, but I think it's more interesting if you look at, for instance, yeah, here I click to undo it. Click on Doug Engelbart, you know, and sometimes it's hard to see, but if you jiggle him about a bit, you can see where they go, the lines. So then, you know, oh, hypertext, said Nelson. Okay, there's two instances of hypertext there. So that's something then connected with this and this. Yeah, if you double click on something, it will do a search in the document. So for instance, Jacob Hazelgrove, who's done the programming, I double click on his name here, and then I can see where he is in the document. Now I can choose to click on that to jump to where he is in the document.
Wow, and cyber navigation space, that for me is so incredibly fascinating.
Yeah, these kinds of drafts, yeah, hang on, this is kind of the live user guide, so I should probably clean it up a bit, but yeah, it is really fascinating. And it's really like with the very first Macintosh that I remember well, you couldn't do much and it became very elegant. And then when you have more powerful systems, it's so easy to make a mess. And making a mess is pretty huge. The work we're doing now is very virtual reality related. And just because you can't put anything anywhere in space really doesn't mean that you should. And to figure out what that means is a bit of a challenge. So that is this. And before we go below, let's go straight to export. Have you tried the export?
No, I haven't had a look at that yet.
Okay. So you have PDF, Word, and all kinds of things. PDF is really the key because that's what academics generally use. So I'm not going to choose to have a cover page, table of contents. All the goodies are on. This is just our user guide. It's just a tiny document, just 2,500 words. Put it on the desktop and it automatically opens in Reader. So this is a fully normal PDF that can be read with any PDF reader. But if you read it with our reader, you get a few special things. So automatically it did a table of contents based on headings. you look a little thoughtful on headings.
I mean, that is incredible. And how did you import the document? You just go into Reader?
Yeah, so in Author, when you want to make text a heading to begin with, you select the text and then you can do heading level, whatever.
Yeah.
Or as you can see, Command 1. You cannot change fonts in Author other than for all the body text or all the headings. So if you want something to be a heading, you can't even make it a different size because you have to define or basically say semantically what it is. So it's a restriction, but that means that when you then open it, export it as a PDF and open it in Reader, Reader knows that this was a heading.
Okay. And you have the 6 different basically sizes of headings, obviously, that you can.
Yes.
That you can choose. Yeah.
Because 8 is bullet and 9 is line bullets. Because 6 is basically the standard academic amount of headings you would have. So that's why we stuck with that. So when you then export this, you have also appended a glossary, endnotes, references, and visual meta. So let's go to endnotes. Tiny little fun test endnotes. The references are here. But what we can do is a few things. So citing, let's see if we have an example here. Okay, we have an endnote. And that's indicated by, I don't know if you can see it easily, but.
Yeah, I can see it well.
Okay. So it's got a tiny little superscript A. So if I click on that, that doesn't actually work. It's supposed to give the endnote and a pop-up. Not sure why. Okay, I'll have to look into that. But also citations. We don't have any samples. I've stripped a lot of this just to make it simpler. But
Is this handbook available yet? Because I haven't come across that, oddly enough.
Yes, it is. In
is.
Author, I'm going to just tear off the zoom control. Top of the screen, help and user guide.
Amazing. Oh, I had missed that one. That's amazing. Great.
Should we maybe call it something else? It's a slightly dry name. What do you think?
I think handbook or user guide is probably, what would you call it? Manual or handbook?
Yeah, because I usually myself also ignore the help section. It tends to be quite anemic what's in it. So yeah. Okay, yeah, so the key thing was if we now go, here we have the glossary automatically produced based on the work we just did, right? And a cool thing with that is if you, hang on, I'm a bit ahead of myself. Let's just take the word author. This has got nothing to do with that. Actually, it would, wouldn't it? You'll see why I'm being confused now in a minute, but I select any text in here and I do Command F for find. It'll show me all the occurrences of that text in the document. So here, the word is writing. So it shows the searched word in bold, the rest of the line in black, and 2 lines above and below in gray for context. So you can now click to go to another location or do Command F again. It can be useful if you're reading a document and you're introduced to, let's say, a person or a technology or something, and you're way further in the document. You do this, you can instantly see the first mention, and then you go back.
Wow.
If you do one on a piece of text that has a defined, which is a defined concept, it's turned into the glossary, and that means it automatically shows up at the top of the screen. Which is useful. Plus, you can now click on any of these other bold terms to look at them. So that means that in the same way here, you can follow these connections. You can do that on the PDF as well.
Wow, that is so nice to have the oversight.
Yeah, so one thing is to have a, oh yeah, sorry, I'm a little ahead of myself. Another thing about defining, making headings. In Author, you can do Command minus to go into an overview. And you can do Command plus and minus to go more and less. It's a quick way to jump around.
Mm-hmm.
And in Reader, you can do the same. So you're reading a PDF, you do Command minus, and you get the outline like this.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Let's, I'm going to make a new document. I'm reading a book right now called, well, I'm reading several. Okay, it's going to be, I'm reading a book called Metazoa.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say, so some sentence regarding it. So I then put my cursor wherever I want citation to be, Command T for citation. The last copied text is already here. So I can click search books. That's the one. And boom, there it is.
That was just the right click that you did there on Metazoa?
No, it was even simpler. What I did was I happened to have, I can't, sometimes I do it automatically, but I copied it. So then after, because I just want it to be a simple reference, if I want to have a quote, actually, let's pretend the words like this are in the book, right? I want to make that a quote. So now I select that and then I do Command T. And then I type in the name of the book, or in this case, I had copied it, so it's automatically there, hit search. Oh, misspelled, that's why.
Yeah, with the A at the...
Boom. Okay, so now I select these two words again. Command T, search. There it is. And now, because I select the text, I can choose how it should be displayed. So I'm going to do quotes and then name and year of the author afterwards, and there's a citation.
Wow. Okay.
So that's kind of fun. I'm going to do a heading, level 1 here. And then also there is this word. I'm going to define this word just to have that as well. Something like that. When I'm done, I just Command Shift E for export. I have all these options. Oh yeah, I'm not going to do alphabetical references. I don't need that. Put it on the desktop. When I do that, it automatically opens in Author. Excuse me, Reader. So boom, that's a little confusing, but here it is, this tiny document. It's even got a table of contents for absolutely no reason. And here's the citation, because that's how I asked for it to be. And it's listed like this. The glossary is there. But a more interesting thing to do is, hang on. This is just me checking something. Because there are these different styles to export. And we've been focusing on a few. Yeah, here we go. So this is what it should have done. It just got stuck with the previous memory thing. So the citation has a number in hard brackets. So you can just click on that in the PDF.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And you can interact with this text. So you can click here to see where that information came from. So here's the book.
Wow. Okay.
And because the whole idea behind citations and author and reader is that it's really, really boring to make citations. So we try to make it fast and simple for the author, but the reader. Yeah, and the reader needs to check them, right? To see if is it true, is it relevant, all that stuff, right? And here you can see the formatting of it in the reference section. So this is what powers it. At the end of every document, we have visual meta. Visual meta is just an appendix added to the document automatically that says what the data in the document is. So you would never normally need to read this, but I think it's worth understanding the concept. So it starts with at visual meta start. It looks like computer programming code. It really isn't. It's just so it looks unique. So when you put this into reader, reader looks to see if visual meta end is in the document going from the back. So otherwise it would take forever to find it. And then it says, oh, it's there. And then it goes to find visual meta start. Everything between these two is what we call visual meta. So first we have a header, which includes what software made this. Because over time it'll be different, hopefully different systems, and they will have different biases and errors, and it's good to know that. And then you get to the most important thing, which is, well, that's weird, the name of the author, because many academic PDFs don't even have the name of the author. It could also be an editor. This is the title of the document, the month, the year, institution, all that stuff. So this bit is called self-citation. This is what you need if you're going to cite this document. So that's, this thing is my PhD.
That is incredible. Yeah.
Thanks. So obviously it's super simple here, but that's what that is. So back to...
and just a quick question. Does that work also for the inclusion of, you know, video material or audio material that you could find online, or is it only written text?
Let's go into what will probably be an embarrassing playlist. When you say video, do you mean primarily YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, it does. And let's have a look at what that means. So let's say this is the particular moment that's interesting for us for whatever reason. So I control click copy video at URL at current time.
So it gives you the access time and date in the visual meta.
It gives, yeah, I can't remember actually. So I have a few options. One of them is, well, okay, let's do it simplest. Command T as before. It now has this use YouTube URL. So I click on that and it does a lot, but it cannot get the name when it does a web search. So we'll just do Jimmy Eden Moon. We'll just type that in.
And so what you've done right now in between is always escape in and out.
Yeah. And also just swiping back and forth. Yes, exactly. So here it doesn't have a huge amount. In this case, it didn't even get the date, so we have to get that. That's not good. So that we'll just put 2020. Not sure why, but at least it knows where it started. So that's the original note. Sorry, Zoom is covering the button. I click save. So now if we export this, zoom back down. So it has that basic information. Access now shows up. And when you click, it'll play from that moment. We did have it so you could play in author, but it's not useful because you share as a PDF.
Yeah, of course.
So if you want to cite just a web page, let's say this page, glossary. Let's do something slightly more useful. Now this may be behind a paywall. I'll do just a BBC News page. Try to find something not too controversial of today. Gosh, so many things. Okay, Jodie Comer, who cares about her when? So that's easy. So I just copy whatever I think is relevant. I go here and then I paste it. Oops, no, that is not what I should do. Command T again, and then use Safari copy. And it tries to get the stuff out of it, but again, it can't know the author, unfortunately. So here I can't see an author name, so I just click unknown. Authors means me, or in your case, you. So if you are referring to something that you've done, particularly if it's a picture you put in, it's really quick to just click authors.
Mhm.
So here we have the dates and original text. All of that stuff is there, so that we have a citation that way. The image thing. Let's just take this insanely beautiful young man. This is my son. He was turned 5 yesterday.
Oh,
So here I just click on authors. It's got the date, title, Edgar 5. And there he is. That's a bit messy with the, I forgot to do a line break. So export this, test with the egg.
wow. Yeah.
Here we have the citation to the website.
Mhm.
And we have the image site references here and all of that. Now, do you read academic documents?
I mean, that is really what I'm looking for the most. Do you have to import them, or can you import them into Reader very easily?
Let's have a look at this. So the question doesn't entirely map onto how we do this. I'm just going to show you how it works.
Mhm.
And then you tell me if it fits. So let's say, okay, game/hypertext. This is David Millard, who was my most incredible advisor. So I know what this
In the
is.
development of the app, he was
No, for my PhD.
for the PhD.
So this, what is your field?
Transpersonal psychotherapy.
Okay, so do you have DOIs in your field, academic field?
Do I have?
DOI, to refer to documents.
I have never heard that, no.
Okay, in some fields, and it's worth double checking, because if you have the DOI, all you need to do in author is just copy that. And then when you're in author, I just paste this, and it knows it's a DOI and it resolves it. So that I can now click on this and all the information about the article is there.
And DOI stands for?
Document Object Identifier.
Wow, okay. Mhm.
I'll show you, yeah. So it's kind of a way to make citing a little bit easier. Do you want to give me an example of an academic page where you download from, and I'll see how, if I can do something useful for you?
Okay, so one big one would be, let's just see a recent one. For example, the psychosis or spiritual emergence, and that's that's a paper by Nikki Crowley, spelled N-I-C-K-I, Crowley, C-R-O-W-L-E-Y.
Do you have yeah, okay, yeah, all right, let's find it. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was just expecting copy paste. Okay, anyway, let's.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, that's
So,
fine.
Psychosis or spiritual emergence. And then it's N-I-C-K-I. And then Crowley, like Aleister Crowley. Exactly.
Okay, so it's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't have much meat on it in the sense of metadata on any of these.
It's probably the wrong field for people to have developed, with that precision.
Oh, here we go. So Semantic Scholar site, check this out. It's got it formatted as BibTeX. This looks very similar to Visual Meta because
Okay.
I copied the style. So if all I do is copy this, go in, and that's it. Here's the citation.
Wow. Okay.
So of course, if there's anything else you want to add that they haven't added, like the publisher or whatever it might be, you can do that manually. But now that means when we export this, sorry. Yeah, so here it is. And it'll be in here as well. So now when you start working like this, you can start doing fun things like playing with the views. For instance, you have these names. So if you do Command Shift N for names, Crowley, Dave, Godfrey, Smith, Millard, you see only names in the document. Here there are hardly any, and these two are errors. I can't figure out why that K is seen as a name, but that's what that does. I'll open my massive thesis again so you can see some of the useful views. So I do Command Shift N, and here you can see acknowledgements. I have lots of names go through. It's not always 100% accurate, like PhD is not a name, but it does it quite quickly in almost 70,000 words. And then you can do things like Command Shift B. It grays out everything that is not bold. That's just so you can choose yourself that maybe when you write, you highlight the bits in bold that are useful. Command Shift B to go back. Then we have Command Shift D, which shows all the defined text, where it's used, the defined concepts. So as you're working through the document, you can see that the terms that are important to you, where they're mentioned. So this is a very focused document. So quite a few of them will mention itself, visual meta, and a few other things. But here I can see that I can get an overview of the different kinds of things. So these kinds of views are listed under view. So it's worth just playing around with them. While you are writing, we have, of course, we talked about a few times the escape key to get into focus mode. A further focus mode is Command / that makes it paragraph level focus. So wherever your cursor is.
Wow, okay.
Jumped around a bit, so let's make sure we get, yeah, on this map, you can do things like, organize things by left, center. Those are just keyword shortcuts that you can see here under the user guide. Also in the map, you see the two different colors. If it's blue, that means it's in the document. So we can do what we did before, double click to see all the occurrences. If it's not blue, if it's yellow, then double click and it asks you if you want to insert. The reason for that, you may want to put things on the map that you haven't written about yet. And this is how you know you haven't written about it yet. Similarly, when you're in full screen, the margins are the same as the map. So if you scroll here, they don't move. What I sometimes do is write myself a note of what I need to write about. And once I have written about it, if I double click, it performs the same kind of search in the middle, so I can see where I've written about it.
Wow, okay.
This one here would insert. So now, boom, here it is at the bottom of the document. I could just write about it. So we'll go up a little bit. So citing, we've done books, academic papers, the web as well, images. To add a link, that's if it's just a normal link. Let's go to this test document. You can just paste it and do space if you want. I suggest you do that because these are more robust. If you have words, select them and then do Command K for link. It will work, but it doesn't always export well. And if the formats change in the future, what is inside there may be lost.
So could you repeat that again? In order to make it more solid,
Yes.
to make sure that it doesn't get lost, what I do is the copy pasting.
Yeah, you have a few options. So I'm just going to do a heading for us here, links, heading level 2. So you can either make it open and a plain, paste, boom, and now it's a link. Or make it a link on a word or words. So I select whatever text, and the standard Mac for link is of course Command K. And I just do that. I don't get a dialog, it automatically does it. So if I click on it now, I can choose to delete or jump. It works, but because when you export to PDF, these links may not work, but these will. But these can be messy. So I can also use EndNote. So I do Command E, paste this in. When I now export, you see the EndNote with a little A.
Yeah.
It's not actually working today. That's really annoying because you see this works. This should do the same.
Is the little A, is that something in the upgrade version that you're working on, or was that already, is that already an version I have?
That is in pen figure. Okay, I'm just going to do. Yeah, okay, we'll have to look at this. Yeah, the little A, so that is A. If I do another one, it'll be B, and then C and D and on, and so on. And they will be in the end notes. You see the link is here. So that's a bit weird. So that was links and endnotes. I use endnotes for some notes, but also for doing the links so they're cleaner. Cuttings is kind of cool. One thing that can be a little back of your mind stressful when working with computer text is you cut and then you lose something, right? So here, if you cut and you cut and you cut, then you can do this. Well, you can paste or you can do cuttings, which is option B. And then Control V. Here's everything you've ever cut.
Wow. Everything you've ever cut in this session or in general?
In general. I can save the, close this document, open it up. Oh, I have to go in a minute, sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, this is so useful.
Hang on.
I'm so sorry.
Not quite yet, not quite yet. Yeah, so you see it did save it. I can now double click to use it or delete it if I don't want it. And the thing is, if I copy, not cut, but copy, it does not get added because copies have an original still in place. And also if I cut this and then I paste it here, that also does not get added because it's safely pasted. It only goes in if something else is cut. Yeah, no, we can go. We're almost done actually in this. I'm happy to continue the dialogue. I think it's very useful to get this.
Really amazing. Yeah.
Just the final thing is to show this liquid software because it's super simple. You saw it in the definition dialogue. Have you downloaded that by any chance?
I have downloaded all three of them, Author, Reader, and Liquid. Yeah.
Okay, great. Because, you know, whatever keyboard shortcut you set, you know, it's so fast to do anything you want. To just, let's find a picture of liquid. You know, let's look it up on Wikipedia. It just means you get the information at the speed that you want it.
And can you just slow that down once more to make me understand how, you know, what it can be applied to? So liquid just means I click on something and then...
You can launch it in two ways. You can do this because author knows liquid, and then you get this. Or you can yourself define a keyboard shortcut, which we can talk about separately. Once it's now up, you have all these options. So
what is convert? What is it doing? Convert? Convert is?
Oh, a number, if it's a number.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
So let's say we want to go to Wikipedia. So what I did was the keyboard shortcut R and W. Or you can just click around as you want to. So if I now computer, if I want to find a picture, I just did search images. It's just worth playing around with a little bit. Got to pick up my son. He's 5 years plus
Thank
1 day
you.
today. Thank you. And let's keep in touch. I'm happy to do a revision session, and I'm glad you agreed that we can put this on YouTube, see if someone else finds it useful.
Oh, Frode, thank you so much. That is literally very, very valuable input. So yeah, I wish you a lovely day with your son, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Take good care. Bye for now. Bye.
You too. Bye.